Holmes! Holmes, will you stop that? You are utterly mad. Stop, Holmes!
Is that you, Watson?
Yes, of course it is. And you almost killed me.
Nonsense. I was aiming for the vases.
Blindfolded?
Watson, quiet, please. I'm trying to concentrate. Ah, Lestrade. What is it this time?
He can see me. Well, here it is, and it's a good one, Mr. Holmes. A gentleman by the name of Peter Carey, also known as Black Peter, has been murdered.
A sailor, most probably.
What happened here?
Oh, Mr. Holmes, how could you?
It's the only exercise I've had all week. A grateful client from Limoges sent me a vase collection this morning. I couldn't think of a better use for it.
You're out of your mind.
I missed 4 out of 10.
Given you were blindfolded, that was very good. Can I have a try?
Am I the only sane one here?
I suppose that Watson is right, Inspector. A little brain work would be preferable now. Do please tell us more about Black Peter.
Peter Carey, born in 1845 and 50 years old. An ambitious sort, he achieved much success in seal and whale hunting around Scandinavia. Retired in 1884 with a small fortune. He invested his money in a property called Woodman's Lee, near Forest Row in Sussex. It was where he lived for 6 years, and where he was found dead yesterday.
Has the investigation already begun?
Yes and no. In fact, this crime is so mysterious that I would prefer you to join me down there.
Give me half an hour to prepare, Inspector.
Take your time and join me there. I have to go through the yard first. The merry men struck again.
What have they done this time?
They robbed a powder reserve. I'll meet you at Woodman's Lee, Mr. Holmes.
I should help Mrs. Hudson here. I also have several appointments that I must keep this afternoon.
I shall go alone, then. I cannot leave yet. I am not finished here. I cannot leave yet. I am not finished here. My analysis table. It is useful for my work. My analysis table. It is... My analysis table. It is useful for my work.
You go along to Peter Carey's house. Mrs. Hudson and I will take care of the mess you've made here.
Oh, what a mess! What a terrible mess!
My archive. I can always consult with. This is where I keep my post. This is where I keep my post. My archive. I can always consult with it if needed. My analysis table. My analysis table. It is useful for my. This is where I keep my post.
I'm over here. Come on.
These footprints appear to be quite large. It seems that the garden was well maintained. These footprints appear to be quite large.
Mr. Holmes? Mr. Holmes? Mr. Holmes?
It seems that the garden was well maintained.
Mr. Holmes?
Inspector Lestrade, when will you remove my husband's body? It's sacrilegious to leave him here like this.
As soon as we can, Mrs. Carey, I assure you. Allow me to introduce you to Mr. Sherlock Holmes. He's a detective. No doubt you've heard of him. I'll wait for you in front of the cabin, Mr. Holmes.
My condolences, Mrs. Carey.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes.
Do you remember at what time you found your husband's body?
In the morning, at around 7 o'clock, I noticed the cabin door was open, but I didn't go in to take a look, for I knew my husband would not have liked it. At around 10 o'clock, I dared to glance in through the door and, oh dear.
Madam, can you tell me if you saw or heard anything unusual upon the night of the murder?
At 2 o'clock in the morning, I heard a terrible scream, but I thought nothing of it then. He would scream all the time when he was drunk.
Can you please tell me what occurred on the evening of the murder?
Well, Peter got drunk in the evening. He was in such a terrible temper. Usually whenever that happened, he'd stay all night drinking in his cabin before passing out.
Was your husband accustomed to receiving visitors?
Oh, no, I don't think so. I mean, he didn't really have many friends. We lived quite an isolated life here, after his retirement.
The garden is very large and well maintained. Do you employ someone to look after it?
It is true, there is a lot of work, but my husband took care of it himself.
You have indeed suffered a great loss, Mrs. Carey. Nevertheless, I believe it will be less of a burden for you soon.
Yes, life with Peter was never easy, but he was still my husband.
He was different, wasn't he, when you first met him upon your return from Plymouth?
Yes, Mr. Holmes. Oh, my goodness, but how do you know about that?
You undertook a pilgrimage to the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela when you were young. That much is evident from the rosary in your hand. The shortest route for the pilgrim from England to Spain is from Plymouth. I believe that you met Peter Carey as a young sailor there, and you married him soon afterwards.
That is indeed what happened, Mr. Holmes. How extraordinary.
Thank you, madam.
Who could do such a thing? My poor husband.
It seems that the garden was well maintained.
Mr. Holmes?
These footprints appear to be quite large.
Peter Carey's body is inside the cabin. We took care not to touch anything.
The door is locked.
Wait just a moment, Mr. Holmes, and I'll open it. I locked it yesterday to ensure that no one should enter the cabin and tamper with the evidence.
Ah, good thinking.
Hello.
What is it, Lestrade?
It seems to me that someone has tried to force it, Mr. Holmes.
Let me see. These scratches are fresh. You're right. Someone tried to force open the door.
I swear these scratches were not here yesterday.
Our mysterious visitor came here last night.
Well, he's not the man for the job. This lock is not a difficult one.
Perhaps he did not have the right tool. What a terrible way to die. The initials PC have been crudely burned. A sailor's work. The initials PC have been crudely burned. A sailor. This aroma is familiar, but to recognize it, I must construct my associations in one picture. This is a coarse tobacco, quite strong and very popular among sailors. Someone drank from this glass recently. Someone drank from this glass recently. Rum, a sailor's drink. It seemed that Captain Carey was enjoying a drink before he met his death. Peter Carey's boots may look to be a size 8. Old navigation instruments, nothing interesting. This place is not covered with dust, like the rest of the shelf. An object was taken from here. It was larger than a book, a box or a small chest, perhaps. The tooth of a sperm whale, probably from one of Peter Carey's catches. Hammerfest. Dundee. It's a whaling map. The ship's logs of the Sea Unicorn for the years 1878 to 1884. Peter Carey was her captain. Harpoons for hunting whales. The ship's logs of the Sea Unicorn for the years 1878 to 1884. Peter Carey was her captain. The Sea Unicorn. She was the ship that Peter Carey commanded. This man is in his 50s, yet he still looks quite strong. The weapon fully penetrated the body. The force of the blow was immense. JHN are probably the initials of the owner of this notebook. JHN. This wooden handle is plain and solid. This blood is from the pool underneath the dead body. Peter Carey tried to defend himself with this knife, but he did not succeed. J.H. The weapon fully penetrated the body. Peter Carey was impaled to the wall by a whaling harpoon. The ship's logs of the Sea Unicorn for the years 1878 to 1884. Peter Carey was her captain. Peter Carey was fully dressed. He was not caught by surprise. It is possible that he knew his murderer. These boots don't match the footprints.
Have you finished inspecting the crime scene? Have you finished inspecting the crime scene?
Is this your husband's tobacco pouch?
I'm not sure. It might be, but he hadn't smoked in a very long time.
Your husband's private papers. Do you know where they are?
There was a small tin box, barely larger than a book. He kept his papers there. It should be somewhere in his cabin.
Thank you, madam.
Who could do such a thing? Who could do such a thing? My poor husband.
The pattern of the blood stain indicates that the notebook was not lying on the floor prior to the crime, but it was dropped into the pool of blood after the death of Peter Carey. These abbreviations mean something, but what? car. Someone was here yesterday. They attempted to force the door to gain entry.
Well, Mr. Holmes, what do you think?
I think that we are lucky
And why is that?
because of last night's attempted break-in.
Oh, you've lost me.
It is very probable that whoever came here hoped to find the door open. They tried to force it with a knife blade, but they failed. What will they do? Why, return tonight, when they will be better prepared.
Aha! So what do you propose?
We shall remain on the outside, near the window, where we stand the best chance of catching sight of our visitor. Well, gentlemen, ready your pistols. We have a long night ahead of us. The tooth of a sperm whale, probably from one of Peter Carey's catches.
Who could do such a thing? My poor husband. Who could do such a thing? My poor husband.
We need to find a good place for an ambush. Perhaps behind Carey's cabin, near the window.
I'm ready to try again.
Fine. If you want me to take all your money, no problem with that. You were lucky. I wasn't focused. Let's go again.
I'm ready to try again.
Fine. If Well, good for you, I reckon. You're stronger than you look. Here's your 10 shillings.
I'd like to buy you a drink.
Good winner as well. That's good. Let's have a drink. You're a good type. Seems you've managed to settle down in life. You've got money, eh?
Not all that much.
Oh, well. At least you're not as poor as me.
Why do you say poor? You're not working?
I'm a harpooner. But you see, the whalers are rare. They don't pay much. So, as a result, I find myself arm wrestling to pay for my drink.
A harpooner. Interesting. You've had a lot of adventures, I bet.
Of course. It's been a dozen years since I've sailed. I've seen everything. Old Wallace, Damn Black Peter, Great Roger, we sailed to the Cape of Good Hope.
Black Peter, you say? I've heard rumours about that one.
He was the worst of them all. He was a liar, and violent too, swinging those fists of his around. He was a tyrant, and not much of a captain. At least, not as good as Great Roger.
I see. Yes. I was told terrible tales about Black Peter.
But you ain't heard the worst.
Tell me, and let's have another drink.
It was in 1883 that it happened. The August of that year. Peter Carey was captain of the Sea Unicorn, and I was a spare harpooner. We were coming out of the ice pack on our way home. One evening, we saw a little craft that had been blown north. There was only one man on her, and he wasn't a sailor. The crew must have thought that she'd foundered, and they made for the Norwegian coast in a dinghy. I guess they all drowned. We took the man on board.
And who was he?
I dunno. During the crossing, he and the skipper enjoyed some long talks. His baggage was just a tin box.
That's strange enough.
Aye. Even stranger was that on the second night, he disappeared. Nobody knew what happened to him. And of course, nobody could ask Black Peter about it.
You know what happened, don't you?
I do. I saw the skipper tie his heels and push him over the rail in the middle of my watch on that dark night. 2 days before we sighted the Shetland lights.
Black Peter's a murderer.
Aye. Those that know him wouldn't be surprised to hear it. But all this must stay between us. All right?
Of course. Back in a second. I'm off to the Ghazi.
I'll be here with my drink.
Here it is. Have you got any tobacco? I've run out of mine.
Nah, I lost my pouch. I don't know where. Wait a minute. What's this?
Oh, is this your tobacco pouch?
Well, oh, it is.
Well, I have to go now. I know a captain who's planning an expedition to Cape Cod. Captain Ahab's his name. He commanded the Pequod. He might need good harpooners. I'll tell him about you.
Maybe. If you like, aye.
I'm done here. It's time to leave.
Care to lose another 10 shillings? How is the investigation going, Mr. Holmes? Do you have any idea who the murderer is yet? How is the investigation going, Mr. Holmes? Do you have any idea who...
I'm not saying another word.
What am I doing here? I've done nothing wrong.
Brave Toby. The best nose in the British...
You met Patrick Cairns, the harpooner. Do you believe he's the murderer? You met Patrick Cairns, the harpooner.
This is where I keep... This place is an object was taken. The tooth of a sperm whale. Hammerfest. Dundee.
Leave me alone, please.
It seems that the garden was well maintained. It seems that the garden was well maintained.
You met Patrick Cairns, the harpooner. Do you believe he's the murderer? You met Patrick Cairns, the harpooner. Do you believe he's the murderer?
My analysis table. It is useful for my work.